Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the world of RaceFace for the GT3 Championship Season 17, Round 1. And now we're going to be kicking off the 2024 season right here at Donington. My name is Stephen Koenig. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And we're in for an absolute treat. Our drivers had to shake off some of the rust going and using the Summer League as a bit of practice, but we are where it matters most, and that is right into the swing of things with the race. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Donington, a very, very tricky circuit out in the UK. Lots of undulations to deal with, some blind corners, and also having to get these cars all set up. We've got Pro-Am in one server, then we have also got our AMS Racing in another. So two servers going up with over 30 drivers entered, 30 plus, heading into 40 drivers entered for tonight's race in our Pro-Am. And here at Donington, it is going to be very, very tricky to carve your way through the traffic. And one of the corners that I'm really looking forward to keeping an eye out for is the drivers making their way through not only Red Gate and the Canna Curve, but Coppice is going to be a very tricky one, followed by the Esses, because everything can go wrong if you're not ready to come to a full stop in a hurry. So we're looking forward to seeing what the drivers can do out on the track. So let's go down to our qualifying as our drivers are making their way around the circuit, showing off what they can do, as we see Sanjin Pillay of Alpha 1 going and making his way around the track. A big welcome to everyone out there in the grandstands. Good to see you all joining in from all around the world. And I hope you're ready for some phenomenal action for round number 1 for this championship. Lots going on to unpack during the course of this event. So let's go through who is where. We got Daniel Rowe, who hasn't gone out of pit lane just as yet. There he is. Bago Krobler in second place. Kieran Patterson in third. Killian Rayner, he will be going in fourth place. He's still in the pit box. Then we have got Conrad Volsking along with Daniel the Hitman de Villiers, Dan van der Heerde, along with Jean Verveers, along with Tyler Humphreys, Justin Lotus, Chris Heineke in 11th, Ira Murray along with Ruan Heineke, Darren Miller, Werner Skuman, as the whole grid just kind of changes up on me over there. Eric Kirstein, Charles Darden, along with Jean Leroux, Connor Benstrom, Alan Patson taking to the circuit again, Cameron de Bastos, who has been practicing on iRacing. Good to see him out, and this time in McLaren, a little bit different to what he was been. Marius Buerta, along with Jason McGregor, Sean Lorero, Paulo Tez, Jean-Ray Buerta, Richard van Heerde, Martin Rotenbach, Philip van Zyl, Jaco Nadir, as the whole grid's starting to change. 44 cars will be starting this race, and we can't wait to see how it's going to work. Top of the charts, though, leading out is Daniel Rowe, putting in the best lap time of 1:26.225 as he looks to try and run away from the field early on in the fight. Bago Krobler in second, Bernard Barkhuizen in third, Kieran Patterson looking to come back with the fight. And if we remember back to last year, the end of the year, the Hybrid Academy team were able to take the victory not only as a team, but they were also able to go and take the fight with Bago Krobler, winning out the championship overall. A monstrous field being pointed out. This is a field that you really want to try and stick it out with, and you're versing some of the best in SA going and fighting it. Killian Rayner lying in 5th place. He's trying to pick up a bit of pace. Was 0.3 of a second up on his last lap time to try and catch up to Kieran Patterson, but caught in traffic a little bit more. A beautiful set of colour schemes out on the circuit for all the drivers going and pulling out all the stops to give a bit of eye candy to everyone out there, and I can't wait to see how it all turns out. Conrad Volsking in 9th place, going a little bit over the curb, and now that KSR Hex trying to get a little bit more pace, utilizing a slipstream ahead of him to just get a bit more lap time out of him Tyler Humphries getting a bit of support from the grandstand, say, with Banana 52 going and saying, "Go Tyler." You're going to have to keep up the hard work there, Tyler. You got some support in there. Jean-Ray Buerta jumping in as well. And you have also got House Boys, who was racing last night in one of the communities. So good to see he's going and enjoying spectating. And I believe will also be racing. So good to see that the drivers are mixing and matching around all the different communities, all trying to get that little bit more seat time as they make their way through to prove who is the quickest right here at RaceFace.Pro for the GT3 Season 17. 17 seasons this has been going on for, which is an incredible milestone. And last year we hit quite a few milestones. One going and hitting that 1,000 subscriber mark. And once again, thank you to everyone out there and going and making it all possible. It's absolutely a treat of note. And make sure you share the link with everyone to see the amazing racing that we are going to be keeping an eye on tonight. Bernard Barkhuizen trying to get a little bit more pace. He's ahead of Kieran Patterson, who has been on a massive charge for the start of the year. The PWSR team actually getting a first, second, and third for the Summer League. So the PWSR team are trying to come back with a bit of a fight. The KSR Palooza coming around. Be careful for the Hawks. They're going to be hunting down. So Gideon Reyna is going to be bringing out his speed gun and will be making sure that everyone is going to have to race. Moving on, Tyler Humphries a little bit further down from the Angry Racing team, number 777, and the Angry Racing team, a karting and now real world, well, into the circuit racing. Angry Racing has been leading the charge. Good to see coming into the sim racing world, looking to make a bit of an impact. Donington Park also out on the track, along with Chris Heineke of the Car Collection Motorsport. Car going in, making his way through. Sean Verveers also out on the circuit. Now we do have a bit of a split here of Pro and Pro-Am. That is going and showing on the leaderboard. So if you see the grey on the leaderboard, much like what Tyler Humphries is over there in 6th place, that is a Pro-Am driver. That's one to keep an eye out for. Everyone that's got the white board, number board, is our pro drivers out on the track. So we have got multiple classes of driver skill looking to make an impact here tonight, as we see Iri Marais from LTR going and landing off into the weeds, trying to get himself all sorted out, going and wearing the LTR livery, putting in a bit of support out there, going to be teaming up with his teammate just ahead of him. No, that is actually the KSR Hex car, so he's going to be trying to close up and get a bit more into the fight. A couple of cars off circuit is Sean Lerero in the second LTE car. Ruin Heineke as well. He has parked it, and seems like a little bit of technical difficulties, just rocking back and forward, so it is in gear. Yakunia off the circuit, just allowing the guys to go on the Porsches, going and snapping around. I think that was our Team Kerygma Racing. That is Jean-Ray Buerta, who got a bit of a snap oversteer. Also changing out their livery from the silver and black, what they were racing last year, adding a bit of blue, adding a little bit of white. I'm going to say much better looking for their car. The Kerygma Racing team hoping to get the win in Pro-Am this season for Season 17 out on the circuit. A couple of other guys, then a new name, well, not new names, but names that haven't been around for a while. Philip Van Zyl was pulled into the pits. A name that was previously racing at RaceFace. He's then ventured forth into the world for ACC, all across fighting in different championships, and now has ventured off into iRacing as well, so trying out different sims to claw his way up through the ranks. Good to see him out there. Actually teamed up with Philip Van Zyl a couple of years back. It was with Janneman Praise, where we had a race in Suzuka, and his driving style is very aggressive, really works the tires, but does catch up to the pros in that regard. So he's sitting in the Pro-Am, he'll have to make a move. Bego Krobler, so far the fastest through Sector 1, Sector 2. The BMW now looking all pointed straight and going and battling his way out. He wants to get ahead of fellow teammate Daniel Rowe ahead of him. Kieran Patterson putting it on the top of the charts, and Kieran's not going to back down from the fight. He wants to go and walk away with the win. So we'll have to see how that works out. Bernard Barkhuizen in 4th place. trying to also pick up the hammer and really give it everything he's got to fight it out for the start of the race. 1 minute and 46 seconds remaining of qualifying. Couple of cars still trying everything they can. Cameron de Bastos going and moving out of the way. The Panda City Esports going and putting on a show. This is the first time the team has actually gotten out on circuit. So the Panda City Esports, very, very new team, and now going to put on a bit of a show. And Cameron de Bastos was previously part of the PWSR team at one point, and now a bit of a shake-up during our holiday period. Got into the new set of teams, and that's what we like to see. Teams going and swapping out, going and trying, having a different set of drivers, testing their different skills, and also going and developing drivers as they make their way through. A couple of tank sappers, one of the PWSR Lamborghinis in the background, getting a bit of a snap oversteer as he tries to get it all in check. That might have been, I'm trying to see exactly who that might have been that actually got that snap oversteer, as we see George Reitenbach going and sliding out in the 296 Ferrari. That's going to put him onto the grass and make life a little bit more difficult. Chris Heineke slowing down and allowing the guys to go. Darren Miller has taken himself back to pits. Fastest lap time out on the circuit in a very, very busy circuit. 44 cars out on the track there. And there's Kieran Patterson with a 126.222 as his quickest lap time. Daniel Rowe, take a look at that. 0.003 right behind our leader. So looking to make a monstrous impact. Bego Krobler in third place. 0.03. I mean, this is incredibly close lap times with going all the way down. Everyone's within a second of one another's lap times, which is just absolutely tremendous stuff. Right down from first all the way to Charles Darden in 17th, have done a 126 around the circuit. Everyone else has gone down to the 127s below them. But I mean, down to 17, you've got some seriously quick lap times. Kieran Patterson putting up a little bit of a quicker time. He's faster through the last sector. Can he carry it through? 0.3 up on the entirety of the field as he gets on the throttle a little bit earlier on. And let's see, will that better his lap time? At 126.035, and Daniel Rowe couldn't beat it out. His best lap time was 126.050. So close right towards the end, but just not able to close down the distance. A couple of cars dropping off the circuit, run for the race. So the GSR racing team still going to keep the hammer down on this one. He's trying to get a lap in and hopefully push himself up through the board. Brandon Kruger in 34th position. He's coming around the final corner. He's 0.2 up on his previous time. Will it be enough to jump him out of 34th? Yes, puts him into 29th position. Run for the race though. Around the final corner, also 0.2 up on his lap time. Will it be enough to jump him up through the order? No, finishing up in 26th position for our qualifying. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to be having a bit of fun as we will be heading into our race. 44 cars to start off with round one right here at the RaceFace GT3 Championship Season 17. This is our Pro and Pro-Am put together. We do have an Am and Gold server as well, just as full for the amazing racing out there. We're good to have you guys around. Taking a look at some of the names out in the grandstands. I've also seen, well, man, the myth, the legend, a name that we haven't seen for a long time, Etienne Kleb, going and putting in a bit of support for everyone as well. Last time we've seen Etienne Kleb was actually, going back to the old Carl Army 9-hour, where unfortunately Carl Army's pit wall met the front of the Aston Martin. Though, that being said, let's take a look at our starting grid. This will be a full formation lap to get a bit of heat. So, Kieran Patterson will be starting out in first place with Daniel Rowe in second place, looking to try and get the jump. Bego Krobler in third, Bernard Barkhuizen, Kilian Rayner, Sanjan Pillay, Sean Verveers, Tyler Humphreys, Jean Leroux, Chris Heineke, Donnie van Heerde, Mahath Musa, Darren Miller, Conrad Volskink, Daniel the Hitman de Villiers, Issam Domingo, Charles Darden, Cameron de Bastos, Werner Skuman, Marius Boutma, Eric Kirstein, Iri Marie, Justin Lotus, Sean Lerero, Loic Randable, Ren van der Race, Jason Farmer, Connor Benstrom, Brandon Kruger, Alan Patterson, Jason McGregor, Jean-Ray Buerta, George Rotenbach, Ruan Heineke, Tianis Buerta, Jaco Nidia, Richard van Heerde, Martin Rotenbach, Paolo Tez, along with Jaco Krobler, Philip van Zyl, Ramona Jonker, Hansi Meiberg, and finishing up at the back of the field is Ruan Kleinans. Sure, one way to run out of breath in a hurry with this amazing 44 car field for our Pro and Pro-Am. We have got Tim on the cameras to go and put on a great show. We're looking forward to seeing what he will be able to do this evening, and keep an eye on all the amazing action. Jim will be manning our box to ensure that everything will go smoothly in terms of calling for green. So ladies and gentlemen, get ready to have a bit of fun, and hopefully going to be an easy drive down for all the cars. We don't want to see too much trouble going in. Mandatory pit stop, 1 hour and 30 minutes of racing, and it is going to be a proper charge. 25 degrees Celsius is going to be the one to keep an eye out for. Lots of questions coming in from all our spectators, and love to see it. Love to see the guys engaging and asking all the questions. Hodder's going and saying, is there a custom BOP? Yes, there is. There is a custom BOP. They are running the LFM BOP, which a lot of the drivers are absolutely loving it at the moment, having that custom BOP. And as you can see, it does mix up the pros and the pro-ams into it as well, as the drivers get to grips with it. Tyler Humphries is one to keep an eye out for, leading out the Pro-Ams, and miles behind him, Charles Dodd in the 17th position, the second of our Pro-Ams, with Boertma going a little bit further down. So Marius Boertma needing to try and climb his way up through the order. First of the pros will be Kieran Patterson, followed by Daniel Rowe and Bego Krobler. And the two teammates are going to work to ensure that Kieran's going to have a bit of a difficult time out there with the 44 car grid. And well, I can hear my little hamster running on its wheel inside the PC, going and begging for mercy at this point, because it's going to have to keep up with all the amazing action. But we do have a pit lane starter, and that is Richard van Heerde, who is a pit lane starter. So Richard van Heerde, who was 37th, will be starting in the pit lane, and that's not going to help with the tires. He is going to have ice cold tires on the way out. He's going to have to wait for the entire grid to exit, to get past and exit and get going. So 2 mandatory pit stops comes into play. Now, 2 ways you can run with this. Get your first pit stop out the way early on as the pit window opens, then go as far into the race as possible, as we've seen a lot of drivers push themselves into the final minutes of the race, then get the pit stop done and dusted. Others go the halfway mark, getting an even split as well. This is going to be a proper run, and I know for every driver sitting out and going, wow, this is where we want to be. This is some of the racing that we want to be. I do want to go and check out another little feature that has gone to it, because this is a bit of a drop for anyone that hasn't seen what's been going on right here at RaceFace.Pro. RaceFace.Pro, this championship, the Season 17, is part of the MSA RaceFace GT3 Championship. So by the end of 2024, we will be crowning a Pro-Am, Am and Gold champion right here at RaceFace. That's accredited by MSA. So big run for the drivers, and to gain valuable points, not only to win Season 17, what you want to do. And as you see, Daniel Rowe, he wants to go and beat out Kieran Patterson. These two former rivals now meeting up on the circuit once again after a quiet time off during the holidays, now getting back into the fight. A couple of also cars keep the track of is Kilian Rayner. He's looking to get a little bit more of a push. Sanjin Pillay sporting a new set of colors, part of the Alpha 1 Esports, and he will have his fellow teammates. Oh, one of the cars dropping off the circuit, braking a little bit too late, and that hairpin catching him out. So not quite the way you want to start the race, by getting a bit of dirt on it, and you're going to have to try and bring back drivers trying to get as much heat into the tires as possible. They got to slow down to 70 k's an hour, which is an absolute crawl for our drivers, ensure that they can maintain it. Who's going to be a jump off a line? Kieran Patterson, Bego Krobler, Daniel Rowe, or will it be Bernard Barkhuizen to get into turn 1? before the rest of the field comes hunting their way through. 44 cars over to Jim Sunjin Pillay with a drive-through penalty to start off. He was too fast off the line. Kieran Patterson defending the inside line. There you go. That's Daniel Rowe trying to go around the outside. Looks to go for a bit of a cutback, and we've got a bit of a turnaround in the grid. Yellow flags ablaze as we have got multiple contacts through the field. And it is going a bit mad on the timing screen as we watch drivers come by. Let's see if we can get a bit of insight into what happened and jump over to our helicam. See what exactly happened for that yellow flag to kick in. This was actually under safety car, I think. Nope, this was for the start of the race as the drivers got going. We are watching start off for helicam, and that was Paula Taze, but not quite the start that everyone wanted to see. Let's go back to the start and go, see if we can go a little bit further. See the carnage happening behind. And it was one of the Porsches of the PW. Saw Tyler Humphries getting pinched. Oh, it was Tyler Humphries that took the knock. And then it was just a cascading effect all the way through. So Tyler was able to regain himself, but others not so much. Tim, the cameraman, giving us a bit of insight there. Kieran Patterson leading the charge. Daniel Rowe in second. Bernard Barkhuizen up into third. Oh, contact! Contact in the back. Richard Frenier, that is Donnie Frenier, Sunjin Pillay, and Fafirs that landed up. Sunjin Pillay actually into a bit of a problem. What on earth happened going into pit lane? So let's take a look. The Alpha 1s racing side by side. Was it a bit of a tank slapper? Was there a bit of miscommunication? It was between the teammates, getting a bit of miscommunication with one another, and the two Alpha 1s coming into blows with one another. And unfortunately, that parked them, one outside the pit lane, one in the pit lane. That is some serious damage that's going to be on both cars. Not the way you want to kick it off, and not the way you want to try and talk to your teammate for the start of the race. So definitely going to be one that's going to be spoken about in the back. Tyler Humphries, though, going and putting in a fight with Don van here, who is looking to break away. Darren Miller keeping alive with Mahias Musa right behind him. Mahias Musa, a champion in Sarko, now going and retaking a time right here at RaceFace.Pro. So good to see that we've got a mixture from all different communities coming in to have a bit of fun and also put in some incredibly hard racing. Battle for the front, though. Kieran Patterson and Daniel Rowe are starting to break away from the field, but not away from one another, as Bernard Barkhuizen is struggling to keep up pace with him. That is allowing Gideon Rayner to close down the distance, and he can hear the whoop whoop of the police and chasing him down. Bego Krobler lying in 5th, started in 3rd place, dropped down. Tyler Humphries in 6th place, maintaining his position, but feeling the pressure from Frenier right behind, who's going to put a huge amount of pressure on the back of him, trying to get past. Tyler Humphries is part of our Pro-Ams, and technically he doesn't need to be in this fight, but as a driver, you want to be at the best of the best. You want to duke it out as they look to go side by side with one another. Tyler going out a little bit wide to try and get a little bit more momentum as he's keeping ahead of Frenier. Darren Miller behind now, trying to keep ahead of Mahias Musa as well. The BMW has got some serious straight line speed that can fight it out as they fight their way through the order. Mahias Musa, though, is going to need to bring the power of the GOAT if he wants to get the run. A bit of a pass going on, and that's Frenier under braking, gets ahead of Tyler Humphries, who gets a very poor exit. That goes and slows him up. Darren Miller gives him a little bit of a love tap as the two of them now fight it out. And Humphries going and managing to hold his position after getting a bit of a slow exit. And it looks like Frenier backing off the throttle. So there was contact between the two. Frenier goes and allows likes of Humphries to get by, but has to chop off the nose of Darren Miller before he loses out that position. So just being a little bit of a gentleman, saying, sorry, I cost you a bit of time there, and then suddenly checking his rearview mirrors to see a whole horde of cars trying to get around them. Mahias Musa dealing with the likes of Issam Domingo of the Project Vapor team. I see the livery didn't load, unfortunately. So there must be something a little bit wrong there. We'll get that sorted out for the Project Vapor team of Issam Domingo, who's putting in a charge. But a four-way battle starting to build up with Tyler Humphries now snapping away from here to Miller. Looks to the inside, backs out of it. Going to rather follow his way through. Mahath Musa going and hunting down, putting his nose on the inside, trying to figure out what's going to work for him as they claw their way through the order. Side by side they go down the straight. Mahath Musa tried going to the outside, got pushed to the fringes of the circuit. Miller's not going to back down from this fight. So Musa needs to try and figure out what's going to work for him. He's got the straight line though, gets on the power and tries to get ahead. A little bit further back, we have got Justin Lotus going under braking to Conrad Fulskink, gets ahead of him. And Sean Loureiro looking to get into the fight as well. So the LTR car now fighting out with the KSR Hex. The two of them are going to do battle. That is going to allow Loic Randable to look up on the inside. Belmanus Gaming now trying to get a little bit more drive underneath them. Switching out from FPS all the way into the world of sim racing. Now having to get past Sean Loureiro, who's not going to give up the fight as he is fighting it out for the LTR. Gets a little bit wide on the outside, so just missing the apex, and that is allowing Randable to slowly chip away and get a bit closer. Charles Darden looking to get into the fight as well, as he is going to follow through with the mistake that's happened. So Loureiro going out a little bit wide. That has cost him time. Charles Darden goes for it, but I see yellow flags going on. Gideon Reyna and Bego Krobler with some severe damages to his car, so he's trying to rejoin. Let's go back roughly about a minute now. He was fighting it out with Gideon Reyna. So Gideon Reyna in the McLaren. Bego Krobler, Jan Krobler in the BMW, chasing him down, trying to figure out what's going to work for him as they power their way through. Going to go late under the brakes, turns it in. That all looks like it's okay. But where did the slight contact come in? As there's only 16 seconds left. So that is going to be any time now. I think it was under braking. Oh, Bego a little bit fast. Trying to clamp on the anchors a little bit early. Runs out wide. That's all looking okay. So something went on a little bit earlier for Bego Krobler, the number 15 car. Let's see if we can take the replay back a bit. And he was gaining, going, centered on the inside. Contact between the two, gets out wide, gets a tank slapper, comes back. Tyler Humphries and the rest of the field trying to come by. Oh, Issam Domingo had nowhere to go. Unfortunately, Bego pointing in the wrong direction. That landed up with a bit of damage and hurting both cars in the process. Bego going in, holding his brakes as it is intended, but unfortunately a little bit of an understeering. Issam Domingo getting the worst of it as he was trying to get into the corner, and unfortunately a contact between the two. Bernard Barkhuizen fighting out with Daniel Rowe for second place as it stands, with Kieran Patterson starting to open up the distance to break away. Bernard Barkhuizen takes a lunge for the inside line, backs out of it. He's going to rather wait out, go for the cutback. Side by side they go. Will he have the legs on the exit, trying to close up? Daniel Rowe not going to back down from the fight, does get a little bit door to door with him, but Bernard Barkhuizen does try go for a cutback once again, not able to get it all hooked up, and will have to be well aware of the situation. Kieran Patterson making his way through the back markers and now trying to make his way up. Fafirs down in 42nd position. He's on trying to catch up to Farmer, who is up the road from him, so a couple of cars that are needing a bit of work that have done their first pit stop. So let's take a look at who's completed their first pit stop. Richard Finiera out in 31st position is the first to have done his pit stop. He actually started from pit lane. Cameron de Bastos is second of everyone that's done their pit stop, followed by Rem van der Race, Paulo Tays, along with Jean-Ray Buerta, Ruin Kleinans, Eric Kirstein, George Rotenbach, Issam Domingo, Daniel de Villiers, Jason Farmer, and Fafirs going and leading out of everyone. That is our battle at the back, and everyone that has completed their first pit stop within the first 10 minutes of the race. Taking a look at the order, Kieran Patterson leads it out with the pros. Daniel Rowe in second place, followed by Bernard Barkhuizen in third for our pros. Carrying down Gideon Reyna in fourth of our pros. And he's getting chased down by first of the Pro-Ams, which is Tyler Humphries, breaking away from Donington Park as they look to make their way through. Mahaith Musa as well into the mix there. Darren Miller now trying to fight it out against Justin Lotus. PWSR versus Hybrid Academy, but Conrad Folskink of the KSR Hicks trying to close down the distance with Loic Randabel of Ominous Gaming chasing him down. Sean Larera also into the fight there. Charles Darden trying to close down the distance, and Connor Bergstrom also fighting his way through. So, racing off to a bit of a start. Some win, some lose, and a couple of drivers retiring their cars. Unfortunately, losing 2 cars out of the grid due to major damages to them. And we'll have to see how that all turns out. Battle for 31st, Rich Fanita, Cameron de Bastos now doing everything that he can to go and look up on the inside. Couldn't get it all dialed in as they fight their way through. But let's go back up through the order. 5th place is Tyler Humphries with Donny Van Heerde and Mahaith Musa right onto the back of him. This time Isim Domingo is missing in action due to the earlier damage that he sustained with the front-end contact with Bego Krubler. Unfortunately, nowhere to go, understeering, and you just staring down the barrel of a gun at that point. So let's see how our drivers are going to cope with this. Van Heerde trying to deal with Mahaith Musa, trying to go on the defense and battle his way through. The drivers starting to find their rhythm, not pushing as hard as they once were, but just keeping in a good tow with one another and hoping that they can go for longer pit stop game in this, because now where is going to be the best pit stop times? We've seen the early pit stops. We'll have to keep an eye on the rest of the field for that, but let's see if it works out in the long run. Drivers I do want to go and point out after we see this battle, Donny Van Heerde going and fighting out with Tyler Humphries and just couldn't get him under braking, but taking a look, got a little bit of yellow flags going on between the likes of Brandon Kruger and Jason McGregor. Bit of damage to Brandon Kruger's car, but Jason McGregor out on the circuit, and also is one of our locals that are building load cell pedals that are used by a lot of our sim racing enthusiasts. So good to see he's out there going and showing off what it can do in the Hybrid Academy machine, as he just goes out a little bit wide. Brandon Kruger, who's got a little bit of front end aero damage to that McLaren, trying to bring it back as they fight their way through the order. Going to be a monstrous battle at this point, a big field, but our leaders going to have to figure out how they're going to carve through the field, and everyone that's towards the mid to the back of the field will have to figure out how not to lose too much time. That being said, our Pro and Pro-Ams are all together, and you can see that just being in a Pro-Am class doesn't mean that you are slow, that you're down on the rest of the guys. These are Pro-Ams that missed out on a HLQ, which is basically their seeding where you got to put in your fastest lap time. That will put you into the list. Unfortunately, missing it out by the closest of 0.001 of a second between Pro and Pro-Am, which is just absolutely phenomenal to see the guys trying to push themselves outside the box and go that little bit further into the races. And as I said, we do have our Am and Gold that are racing together as well, so they're looking to fight it out in the order and make sure it all comes into play. So grid still quite close to one another as they make their way through. Marius Boertmer trying to catch up to a ailing Bego Krubler, who's got a severe amount of damage on that BMW from the earlier contact. He's not getting the run. Boertmer is going to try and look for the inside line. The team LTR looking to try and figure out an easy way to do it, and is pulling Ruben Heineke right behind his fellow teammate, looking to also follow through. Bego Krubler jumping out of the way into the grass and saying, look, let the cars go, going to rather come back. But that does bring him in front of Alan Patterson. And that also seems to be one of our Porsches. That might be Miller that is also trying to make his way through. Would that be Miller? That is number 93. So our 93 Porsche, that is Daniel the Hitman de Villiers. Yes, he was part of the earlier carnage, and unfortunately luck ran out for Mr. de Villiers, now having to claw his way through. So Alan letting him go, saying, listen, try and get yourself back up to the front of the order. I'm not going to fight you here. We've got an ailing car ahead of us, so let's just utilize the tow and pull our way through. But Alan second-guessing that and deciding he's going to pull into the pits and get himself all sorted out, getting that first pit stop out the way for our round 1 right here at RaceFace for the GT3 Championship. And for season 17, off circuit goes for Van Heerde. That's going to lose our time. Mahias Musi comes on, and Darren Miller says, well, thank you very much on that one. He dives out ahead of everyone. He's not too concerned on the fight and launching his way up through the order. So Miller going and scoring a free position there. Van Heerde now having to deal with Justin Lotus right behind him, keeping a huge amount of pressure as they make their way through. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we do have live timing up as well in the description. We do have PitLink up, so you can keep track of all the live timing right here at RaceFace.Pro for our GT3 Championship Season 17 Round 1. Just click on the link and go and keep an eye on your favorite drivers, your favorite teams, and see how they're doing in the race. Try and work out the strategies coming into play as well. And let's have a little bit of a guessing game with our spectators out there in the grandstands. Good to see you guys here. The biggest, baddest, and the best. Saying go, 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 Kieran, go, go, go. Gabriel Dos Santos saying Musa the GOAT, as he also looks to put in a bit of support. It's good to see a whole bunch of guys keeping a close eye on the action and the amazing racing that is going on. Jaco Krobler, a little bit further back, is trying to get himself going in the Panda City. Mad Max dealing with Martin Rotenbach right behind him, and LaRue trying to also make up a bit of ground, but it does look like Rotenbach getting sick and tired of seeing the back of that McLaren and guessing whether it is a car that's soon to be unveiled or whether it's already been done, and not quite sure if it's all just carbon fiber as he makes his way around. That is a battle for 25th and 26th, 24th, 25th and 26th. Moving a little bit further up order, another close battle is Ruben Heineke with Marius Buerta ahead of him, Buerta. So the two LTR cars, they're on to the back of Jason McGregor. McGregor, unfortunately, going to be stuck in a bit of a teammate sandwich here. They are going to work together, a bit of communication coming into play as they use the slipstream. Jason McGregor just able to straight line his way a little bit to break away from him, but as soon as it came out to the chicane, lost the drive, and here comes Buerta. Looks to the inside line, backs out of it, not going to take the fight, but did bait McGregor into outbraking himself, and McGregor down the order without breaking himself, and that is De Villiers. De Villiers over-rotating the car on the hairpin, and he was trying to get past the likes of Vega Krobler. So let's see how this worked out. Did he outbrake himself ever so slightly into the hairpin and had the Porsche just snap out underneath him, which is fairly common for the 992 Porsche GT3R. And looks to the inside. Oh, a little bit of contact early on the power, and that's all she wrote for it. So just putting the hammer down a little bit too early there, costing him a fair amount of time. So back up to our 5th and 6th position. Tyler Humphries once again in a bit of a fight. He's got Mahias Musa chasing him down. Mahias Musa is going to put a huge amount of fight into the back of Tyler Humphries as they look to pull away from Miller. A little bit further down, 10th and 11th place, we've got Conrad Fulsking along with Loic Randebel trying to chase down. Loic Randebel going late on the brakes, trying to hook it in onto the inside of Conrad Fulsking. Couldn't get it all sorted out, gets a little bit unsteady as he tries to get on the throttle a little bit earlier. Justin Lotus ahead of them is going after Van Heerde, but Loic Randebel missing out the corner, outbraking himself. Conrad Fulsking saying thank you very much on that one. Sean Lorero will be saying, okay, well, now I'm getting a little bit closer. You guys are seeing a little bit of weakness. We're going to try and close down. Yellow flags being kicked up for the likes of Cameron de Bastos. Oh, my heavens. That is not how a McLaren's meant to look like, and that's not where a McLaren's meant to go. Into the wall. Sufficient amount of damage on that car to go and call the insurance company and say, listen, I got caught in a hailstorm. I was parked undercover, and I had everything. It was undercover, shut doors, no ways it was on a racetrack. Don't know where the damage came from. It happened. The tree jumped out in front of me. That type of incident, unfortunately, for Cameron de Bastos, not going to work out in his favor. Close racing, though, happening down from 5th and 6th, which is Tyler Humphries and Mahath Musa. Then a little bit further down is Donington Park, Justin Lotus, Conrad Fulskink closing down, and Low Granville trying to get onto the back of the train as well, as it's starting to build up more and more. Charles Darden also looking to close up on Sean Lerero as they're making up a bit of ground, but it does look like they're caught between Beggar Krobler, who is way down the order, but he's just trying to keep the pace up at this point and hoping that he can try get that car a little bit more up towards field. He may run into a little bit of interference as Low Granville is going to be in the way just ahead of him, and Conrad Fulskink up against the back of Justin Lotus, who is pushing to get on Van Heerden, and Justin Lotus up on the inside goes for the pass and gets past one of the Panda City. Is going and using the indicator not as it was intended, saying that he's going to lean over to the right, but just showing where he is going to be. So indicators are being used, which is absolutely incredible to see drivers actually starting to utilize it more and more, and a way to indicate to the drivers, listen, go here. I'm going to try and keep out of your way, and there's a bit of a move going on. Low Granville, though, goes side by side with Conrad Fulskink, getting a good run up, and that is going to be a side-by-side moment between them on the Panda City cars, trying to figure out what to do. Beggar Krobler with a monster send up the inside. He goes for the pass on, that looks to be Werner Skuman, who's the Panda City Esports team. So Beggar Krobler does a very, very late send. He gets past, but now they are holding back the number 23 car, and that is, it might be a 24 car. That's, nope, not a 24 car either. That is finding out. That says number 23 on the door. So it is a 23 car that is trying to move their way up the order as well. Now caught behind the back markers in play as they're looking to move up. So I'm just trying to find who exactly that is. That is Sean Lerero, who got caught up, and he's trying to get away from Charles Darden, who now gets caught into the pack. Beggar Krobler getting closer and closer to our running order. Chris Heineke, though, managing to jump up position ahead of Ramoni Yonka at this point. Ramoni Yonka in a bit of a fight as they make their way through. So Ramoni Yonka and Chris Heineke going and battling their way out through the order on the PWSR cars, and I think that might be De Villiers that is trying to get away, and he has got a bit of pressure from Tienes Buerta, who is putting a monster amount to tell him. No, it's actually, yeah, it's Daniel De Villiers that's ahead of him. So Daniel De Villiers going and holding back Tienes Buerta at this moment as he tries to unlap himself and get back into the fight. Jaco Krobler, though, missing out the corner and is going farming. He's going from the UK to Scotland, and they're asking for his passport in that respect. So he's having to try and figure out what to do. Battle going on for 8th and 7th place. It's Van Heerden and Miller that are now duking it out as we getting closer and closer past, and nearly 30 odd minutes done and dusted. Only got 6 more minutes left, and then 30 minutes is complete. So far 23 minutes and 22 seconds have gone by. Track's cooled down a little bit, 24 degrees, and it's a little bit cloudy out there. Lots of drivers will be keeping a close eye on it as Miller gets a tank slapper. Listening a little bit to the stream and unfortunately getting psyched out. Van Heerden trying to look for the inside line, backs out of it. He chooses, he's going to wait it out, try to get a little bit of drive, taking a tighter line through the apex and trying to get a little bit more pace underneath him, with Justin Lotus lurking in the wings at this point as they fight their way through. Looks up on the inside, couldn't do it, backs out of it. Miller closes down onto the back of Tyler Humphries. Humphries now trying to get past one of the Panda City Esport cars, which is a back marker. This is going to be late braking on all three of their parts. It's going to unfortunately put that McLaren all the way out, and you can see not a bit of smiling moments there for the number 14 Panda Esports car, and that is Cameron de Bastos just saying, hey guys, tone it down a little bit here. I'm also in the race, want to try and survive this, but unfortunately being a blue flag, you're going to have the guys taking a little bit more of a risk as they try and get a jump on you. Loic Randall onto the back of Justin Lotus, and Van Heerder closing down the pack as well. Battle up for the podium running though. Bernard Barkhuizen onto the back of Daniel Rowe. They've been running line astern at the moment, with Kieran Patterson leading out our pros, leading overall. Tyler Humphries in first place of our proams, followed by Loic Randall and Lerero in third place of our pro-ams as they fight their way through the order. 17 laps completed right here, and it is going to be a monstrous fight for the drivers as they have to try and figure out what's going to work for them as they get the power down and move their way up through the order. Charles Darden, part of the Project Vapor team, now onto the back of Sean Lerero ahead of him. Sean's not going to back down from this fight. Darden, little scuffles on the nose, tells a bit of a story of how his race has been, where it hasn't been the easiest of runnings, running in 13th position though, and slowly but surely starting to come back on the run. A couple of drivers pulling into the pits. Ramon Ionka has now dived into the pits, and Tim just trying to find the car. There he is, Ramon Ionka now into the pits, and that will allow the rest to pass by. Richard Van Heerder and Alan Patterson coming past and launching their way through. So the car's now starting to open up a bit more of a lead, and also now the time starts to tick over. When are you going to get that first pit stop out the way? Are you going to try and run a full tank and then go from there? But I see yellow flags. That is Lerero. Lerero with yellow flags. Was he trying to get past the Panda City car, number 14, Cameron de Bastos, with Charles Darden right on the back of him? Does run out a little bit wide. Looks towards the outside line, going into the kink. Does Cameron yield? No, he doesn't. He's going to keep it on the gravel. Oh, nowhere to go. Unfortunately, Lerero getting sandwiched between Cameron and Charles Darden. Darden just having nowhere to go. And unfortunately, a bit of a fishtail there does drop him down the order. Heineke getting into the fray of things and trying to put up a fight with fellow teammates, saying, listen, you gotta go, and he goes off into the circuit. Ron Heineke now losing out that drive. Jason McGregor saying, well, thank you, I'll happily take that position, and start getting a bit more of a drive on the way through. So chaos happening all over the show at the moment as drivers trying to get themselves back out and going. Ramon Ionka going off the throttle. He's trying to get past our 667 car, which that seems to be in a bit of a fight of his own. A little bit of passing back and forth between Daniel Rowe and Bernard Barkhuizen. Let's actually go back roughly about a minute to see this battle going on. Bernard Barkhuizen running out a little bit wide, gets into the toe of Daniel Rowe in the BMW just ahead of him. The McLaren trying to get a little bit more pace than the BMW M4 GT3. Ahead of him, the front engine trying to deal with mid-engine. Under braking, so close behind, and it does look like one of the other Hybrid Academy cars going and playing a little bit into interference moment. But Bernard Barkhuizen does try, maybe go for a lunge. No, backs out of it. He's not going to go for it there, but does get a little bit of a slide. Gets a drive on Daniel Rowe, goes for the pass, and unfortunately gets sandwiches in, so having to back off the throttle. Not going to be ideal. Darren Miller getting ahead of Tyler Humphries with Van Heerden now into the battle as well. So Humphries still leading his class, but now the Porsche looking a little bit more squirrely, under braking and through the fast sweeps. So he's trying to get that car all in check to deal with Van Heerden ahead of him, behind him, and Justin Lotus as well, dealing with Loic Randall. And this is one of our closest trains at the moment as it stands as a 4-car train, fighting it out. Loic Randall, Justin Lotus, Dene Van Heerden along with Tyler Humphries in 7th position, trying to catch up to Miller just ahead. Angry Racing Machine not having an easy time here. Van Heerden now looking for the inside line. Is he going to go for the lunge? Second guesses it, but Tyler Humphries goes for the lunge on Miller. That does cost him a bit of time. Van Heerden tries to capitalize on the mistake, and it gets a little bit more drive. Backs out of the fight once again, but he is going to take a very tight apex through the final corner to try and close it off. and it does look like Loic Randall got on the power a little bit too early. The back snapped down underneath him, but he does get it into the pits to do his first pit stop. That's going to drop him down the order, but it's all to play for our drivers at the moment, trying to figure out what strategy is going to work best for them. It's a bit of side-by-side action going on. Jaco Krobler and Nordia going and fighting it out. The two having a absolute ding-dong of a battle with one another. They are fighting it down for 23rd and 24th position at current. So let's go through the running order of the grid as we pass the hour. We're now past the half of an hour mark. Kieran Patterson out in first place. Daniel Rowe in second. Bernard Barkhuizen. Kilian Rayner up into fourth. He's been on a good charge. Maeth Musa in fifth. Sixth, Darren Miller along with Tyler Humphries. Van Heerde chasing down in eighth. Ninth is Justin Lotus, who is in this beautiful little tow and is trying to close down the distance. Conrad Volskink in 10th. 11th is Colin Bergstrom. Charles Darden. Brandon Kruger. And Marius Boertma. Sean Loureiro. Jason McGregor. Ruben Heineke along with Chris Heineke. Tiernas Buerta. Jean Leroux. Martin Rotenbach. Jaco Nadir. Jaco Krobler. Hansi Myberg along with Richard van Heerde. Alan Patterson now getting into that fight as well, so he's getting his elbows out. The fastest ACC commentator out on the circuit here in South Africa. So good to see that our South Africans will, our fastest ACC South African commentator now doing everything he can to put up a fight. Loic Randall in 27th, 28th is Jean-Ray Boerta along with Rian van der Race with Eric Hustain right behind him, who gets a horrible tank slapper in the BMW, pulls it back right at the end. But definitely taking a deep breath there. Ramon Jonker in 31st, 32nd is Philip van Zyl. Palaters in 33rd, 34th, Ruin Kleinans along with George Rodenbach, Bego Krobler, Issam Domingo, Daniel de Villiers in 38th, 39, Werner Skuman, followed by Cameron de Bastos, Jason Farmer, and Sean Fafiers rounding out our field. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you're enjoying the racing just as much as I am, because it is incredible in terms of the action. Everywhere you look, there is a fight. This is a fight within the top 10, 7th and 8th place, going and battling it out. Tyler Humphries just managing to keep Van Heerde right behind. Van Heerde trying to close down the distance, not having the easiest time here. Justin Lotus also coming into play. Darren Miller actually being a little bit of a concertina moment for them through the hairpin, so just not as fast. Maybe getting a bit of an early break, stabilize the car, and then get early on the power as quick as he can to try and pull away from what's behind him. But at the moment, he's punching a hole in the air to allow the cars to close up underneath him. 57 minutes remaining of this race. We have seen some of the cars pitting within the first half an hour, and that was Richard van Heerde, who's actually started from pit lane, so he will need to do 2 pit stops. He doesn't have his usual 1 stop that he needed. Alan Patterson actually leading the charge of everyone that's done their pit stops. Loic Randall following behind. Rian van der Race in 27th is also completed his pit stop. Eric Hustain, Jean-Ray Boerta, Ramon Jonker, Philip van Zyl, Jaco Nadir, Paul Leters, Ruin Kleinans along with George Rotenbach, Bego Krobler, Issam Domingo, Daniel de Villiers, Werner Skuman, Cameron de Bastos, Jason Farmer, and Jean Fafiers needing to still do 2. But take a look, Skuman, de Bastos, and Farmer already completed all their pit stops. But taking a look, Cameron de Bastos needed to do the pit stop because he was doing a bit of repair work on damage. Werner Skuman was actually a splash and dash on that last run, so he's trying to take it all the way to the end. Jason Farmer as well, he went and actually did a whole tire change on his car to try and catch up to the pack. So not only a bit of a refuel, but a tire change as well. Interesting enough, does work on this circuit because it is a very abrasive circuit, wears down the tires quite a bit, and going and breaking that friction is a bit of a problem for the drivers. The tires go through different stages. One very cold, very slippery, and then as they heat up, they become very grippy. You can go and really wring it through all the way, and then they get to a stage where I say they get a bit gummy. We're going to talk about that. They stick, but at the same time, you can feel the grip, but they start to slide underneath you. They get very gummy in that respect. If you take like a piece of chewing gum, go and have it in your mouth for quite some time until it loses that loses the taste. You've taken all the flavor out of it. Then go and take that piece of gum, put it out on your table or on a slick on a abrasive surface. You will then feel it will stick, hitch, but at the same time will start to slip every so often, and the drivers will have to figure out what's going to work for them on that respect, as it's not going to be an easy run for our drivers as they fight their way through. Some proper racing all the way through the field as Van Heerden not getting past Tyler Humphries. Let's head over to another battle. This is Tianus Buerta and Jean-Ray Leroux along with Ruin Heineke, who is into the fray as well, side by side, as Leroux going and allowing one of the cars to get past him. So Leroux in the Hex car now leading one of the LCR cars getting past. Yellow flags being shown though for Ruan van der Race, who went off into the dirt. Let's go and take a look at what happened to him and actually jump into a helmet cam, see what went wrong. Counter steering, the back end stepping out underneath him, looking a little bit shocking as he tries to carve his way through. Hooks it in, understeer, drop a wheel off on the dirt. Oh snap, oversteer, brings it back, slight contact with the wall. Shouldn't be too bad, but it's enough to make life a little bit more difficult. And that being said, I've just seen another set of damage coming into play during that as well. Yellow flags coming in, so Tim catching all the action. This is Kleinans who got involved in a bit of a problem. So what happened to Kleinans that dropped him down the order? I think also once again McLaren getting a bit of a snap oversteer. Will it be the case? All looking alright as he carves his way through there into turn 1, turn 2. Long right-hander that is going to have to keep all together. Getting the power down early on. Looking to try and launch his way up through the order. Okay, a little bit of touch of the dirt. Bit of a moment. So, couldn't quite see it on that replay, unfortunately. But Werner Skuman right behind him is now looking to take fight. So unfortunately just missing out on a couple of the incidents. This is our number 40 car that got a bit of a yellow flag. Sorry, this is a 404 car. Trying to make his way through, getting a yellow flag. This is Leroux getting a tank slapper. Oh, through the chicane, the rear stepping out and trying to get himself sorted out. Had to wait for the rest of the field, give it a quick spin round and get going once again. So a couple of the drivers having to really work hard this evening. Alan Patterson getting ahead of one of his competitors, Tyler Humphries, now into the pits. A couple of cars actually jumping into the pits. That is going to change it. So Tyler Humphries in the pit, Leroux in the pit as well. That is going to drop them way down the order, but mix things up. So Alan Patterson, who is currently fighting it out, depending on what the race turns out, he can get himself into the top 10, and he is racing in the Pro-Am division, so he's hoping to get a little bit closer to the top of our Pro-Am division, which is 10th place, Connor Bergstrom. So Connor leading out our Pro-Am, with Kieran Patterson leading out our Pro. Kieran Patterson with a 6.1 second gap over Daniel Rowe at this point. Bernard Barkhuizen trying to chase him down and really get into the fight once again, but a little bit of loss of pace there. Car coming out of the pits, and unfortunately this is where it gets tricky for everyone as they have to try and figure out how to get past Leroux. As he makes his way through, Richard Van Heerden though gets a tank slapper. He lands off into the weeds. So Richard Van Heerden now needing to get himself up and going. Pelletiers in for a fight as well. Ruan Kleinans with a stop-go 30-second penalty. And that is going to hurt him like no tomorrow at this point, because he has completed all his pit stops plus a 30-second penalty. That will be given for speeding in the pits. And a stop-go 30-second penalty as Conrad Volsking gets a little bit of contact with Van Heerden, who manages to keep it all together. So this is going to be a proper fight. They are keeping ahead of one of the BMWs that is trying to chase him down. Trying to see the number on that BMW. Unfortunately, very difficult without a livery because you've got to essentially look for the front windscreen, but they're going to go side by side and allow the BM to rush on by. So Van Heerden dealing with Conrad Volskink, and we've got a BM that is constantly hunting down to try and get past. That might be Domingo, actually, that is trying to make up a bit of ground. Yes, it is. It's SM Domingo that is down the order. So he's actually a blue flag trying to get past and unlap himself at this point. He's got the two going and fighting it out ahead of him. Stop go 30-second penalty Kleinon's going to do as the cars come under braking, trying to get round. One of the cars exiting the pit lane. Oh, Bego Krobler getting a bit of a tank slap as he tries to get past the likes of Jaco Krobler and getting a little bit out of shape there. Rotenbach also on a proper charge, dropping the wheel off on the dirt. He's trying to keep himself going. Back up to 8th and 9th position. Whew, we're jumping all the way through, up and down through the order. I do apologize if it looks rather schizophrenic and like I've had too much sugar in my chocolate milkshake, but well, with the amazing action out here and seeing all the drivers pushing themselves a little bit more every step of the way, we want to catch all the action as it happens out on the circuit. Jason McGregor does pull into the pit, so he's getting his first pit stop done and dusted to get in the fray for a later fight. And we do have a yellow flag situation. That is Isam Domingo, who landed up with a bit of contact. Cameron de Bastos actually trying to pull himself back after a little bit of a slow effort. So let's see what happened to Cameron de Bastos that gave the yellow flags. He's right up against one of the LTR cars. Getting into the tow. The Panda City McLaren versus the LTR Porsche. Just ahead of him. And, oh, just the rear steps out underneath him. He goes around, turns around, and unfortunately going and losing the rear. Great branding for Sun & Co. They're getting a lot of advertising there from Tim the cameraman, who is putting on a show. A couple of cars pulling into the pits. Bernard Barkhuizen is one in the pits, along with Van Heerden in the pits, Sean Herrera and Justin Lotus as well pulling into the pits. Barkhuizen coming out of pit lane ahead of Alan Patterson, who has done his first pit stop. So Barkhuizen first of everyone in the top 10 that has done their pit stop. He's hoping that is going to be the right move. Going to break it into the halfway mark at this point. Charles Darden onto the back of Connor Bergstrom. They are fighting it out for class honors to get that first place in class 6th and 7th over, well, 7th and 8th, I do apologize, overall. But first and second in class, and you can see Charles Darden carrying a bit of damage on the front end of his nose, and that Ferrari will be feeling it in a straight line, not being able to get all the power out as quick as he wants as he fights his way through. Isam Domingo also back into the fight. Conor Bergstrom, though, twists Isam Domingo around. Isam Domingo trying to get past Bego Krobler, going a little bit slow through the corner, and Connor just keeps the power on and gives him a little bit of a turnaround. I don't think it was intentional, though. I don't think he expected BMW to be a little bit slower than planned, and unfortunately for Isam Domingo, his race turning on its head at this point. He was involved in the earlier contact that broke him out of the top 10. Now he's getting a little bit further down the order, so frustration must be starting to kick in underneath the helmet for the Project Vapor driver Isam Domingo as they fight his way through. So Kieran Patterson leading out the pros, Daniel Rowe in second, Gideon Rayner in third of our pros. Moving on to our proams is Bergstrom, Darden and Boertma as they fight it out. Marius Boertma doing a great job at the moment to keep it up. Let's see if the strategy is going to play out in his favor. His one to keep an eye out for is Alan Patterson, because Alan Patterson is fighting him in class and has completed his first pit stop. So Alan Patterson is his biggest problem at the moment. He needs to try and figure out what to do. Bernard Barkhuizen, though, getting a little bit out of shape. He's in the top 10. He's hoping to get the leapfrog ahead of Kieran Patterson, Daniel Rowe, and Gideon Rayner after a bit of a pit stop. A little bit of a slower time that last time, getting a bit of a tank slap, trying to get the car all back in order, but does carry the fastest lap time of the race, a 1:27.1 as they fight their way through. Taking a look over to our grandstands, everyone going a bit nuts for the amazing action that we have out on circuit. And Tyler Humphries getting a bit of support out there. Mahath Musa actually pulling into the pits along with Killian Rayner and Charles Darden have pulled into the pits. So Ben Bernstrom up into 4th place and Marius Burtma up into 5th. They will be getting an eye for the prize on this one. So we have got a couple of cars coming into the pits. Will they come out ahead of the likes of Alan Patterson? That is where the bar is at the moment to go and fight it out. Mahath Musa though, he is in an incredible fight for his life as he's right onto the back of Chris Heineke with Bernard Barkhuizen chasing him down. It does look like one of the Porsches, the SR Porsches going and trying to move out the way. That is Daniel de Villiers who's going and allowing Chris Heineke to get by, and Mahath Musa along with Bernard Barkhuizen. So he just moves out the way, says, guys, get ahead of me. I don't want to lose out too much time here, but I need you guys to get a little bit of a hurry up and go. Yellow flag's being shown for the number 14 car, and also slight contact between Loureiro and Finiera at this point. So they are also rubbing shoulders with one another as they fight it out for their class honours. Hayden going and jumping in and saying, let's go PV, let's go Project Vapor. Show them going to bring the smoke, if we can call it like that. I know Project Vapor has to actually answer the question to one of the Project Vapor guys. I said, how did it all come about, the team name? I mean, it's a bit of an odd one to come out. Is it because you like vaping? Do you like bringing the smoke? And they were just laughed at it. They said it's actually not quite the case to for it to come through as he pulls into the pits, and it does look like de Villiers also pulling into the pits over there, the number 31 car, no, 31st position, that is de Villiers on the PW side. But yes, I went and asked him about the Project Vapor, and they said it wasn't the case. It wasn't because of vaping, it wasn't about bringing the smoke, it was just an exciting name, one that was very, very catchy, easy to roll off the tongue, and that's one that they thoroughly enjoyed, that's carried through from a little bit of a history in the world of gaming. Chris Heineke off circuit, that allows Bernard Barkhuizen to get by without any problems at all. Bernard Barkhuizen now has his eyes firmly set on Tyler Humphries and SM Domingo that are ahead of him on the circuit, but not ahead of him. So they are blue flags at the moment. He's going to be looking to try and get past him as quick as possible to catch up to Marius Burtma 10 seconds up the road. And this is where it all gets mixed up into the fight for our drivers as they fight their way through. Bego Krobler, Martin Rotemark, they are fighting it out for position, 21st and 22nd. Bego Krobler just getting ahead of Martin Rotemark, the RS1, trying to get the jump on the Hybrid Academy driver as they fight their way through. Bego Krobler was previously, well, I mean, he's been in pretty much every race this week. He was racing Monday, racing Tuesday, racing Wednesday, and racing now Thursday. So he has been in his rig for a fair amount of time, much like many of the sim racers here, actually racing in all sorts of different communities around South Africa and outside South Africa as well, representing the South African flag. Great to see. But going and getting some serious track time with what they are going to do. And Aiden actually saying you should have heard the other names that came up when we were coming up with it as well. I look forward to hearing it, Aiden. I really, really do. I love to actually get a bit of an insight into all the fun stuff, and actually to everyone out there in the grandstands and out on the pit wall, please let me know all the fun little stories that's gone on. What happened during the holidays for the teams? How did they shake off all the rust? What is the amazing racing that's going out on the circuit? I'd love to know, catching up on all the stuff, because I won't lie, come December, I was taking a little bit of a break. I did my own racing, I relaxed, and I'm going to say something that's going to send shivers down everyone's spine, that's for certain. I was playing a little bit of Fortnite as well. Don't tell anyone! It's between you and me. But that would actually put a bit of shudders down a lot of drivers. Marius Burtma going and exiting the pits. He drops down 3 positions on the way out. Does allow the PWSR Porsche of de Villiers to get by and have a clean run. Bernard Barkhuizen though up into the top 4. And he's completed his first pit stop. Killian Rayner also completing his first pit stop just into the top 6. Justin Lotus, another one to keep an eye out for. He's done his first pit stop along with Conrad Volsking. And Charles Darden and Bergstrom in 11th has done their first pit stop. But Mahath Musa is one to keep an eye out for as well. as he goes and battles it out in 12th place. And this is going to be in a monstrous run to it. Sean Lerrero right behind and doing everything he can. Taking a look over to the grandstands, unfortunately we do have one driver that wasn't able to make it to the race due to unfortunate circumstances here in South Africa, and that being load shedding, and that was to Marius, saying he was actually meant to race in the silver class in the RaceFace GT3 Championship Season 17. And unfortunately, due to the circumstances, he has to take the loss of points on this one. Not quite what he wanted to have, as he fights to keep an eye on the amazing action. So he's watching it from the sidelines and appreciating all our pro and pro-ams giving it the absolute best. And I'm sure getting a little bit of FOMO not being out on the circuit. Marius, my heart goes out to you, bud. Been there, done that, and sure. That t-shirt is never one that you want to have. That's one that you put at the back of the cupboard, you forget about, and you hope the moths get to it eventually. So, yeah, heart goes out to you, bud. And to all the other drivers that weren't able to make it to the grid this evening due to various circumstances. But we do have a couple of drivers that weren't able to finish this race. We're down to 40 on the grid. We started with 44 drivers that were fighting it out at the start of the race. Due to various circumstances, they dropped them down. Kieran Patterson been in and out of the pits. He's down into second place. Daniel Rowe still needing to do a pit stop. Kieran Patterson is in prime position ahead of Bernard Barkhuizen. But Charles Darden, though, oh my heavens. Project Vapor. We talked about all the sorts of funny names that came into it. Well, let's talk about the driver that's now got himself a drive-through penalty. And that is not going to be helping his case at the moment. Drive-through penalty is going to be for off tracks at this point. So he's going to be serving that now as he pulls into the pits with Chris Heineke just ahead of him. Conor Bergstrom going to say, well, thanks, bud. I'm going to take that position with absolutely not a problem. I'm going to get launching his way up through the order. So good to see drivers still trying out different strategies, but unfortunately a drive-through penalty is detrimental, and you can see the traffic on the way out as Chris Heineke has to try and get right behind the likes of Marius Buerta. Charles Darden dealing with Jason McGregor just ahead of him. So Jason McGregor scoring up a position, Charles Darden dropping down. Let's take a look at the gains and losses that through the race. And that is actually the biggest one. Goes to Tinas Buerta. Ironically enough, Tinas Buerta started out in 35th position. He is now in 5th. Hasn't done pit stops though. First in the Pro-Am, so he's going to drop down the order. But 30 positions on the climb, 37 minutes to go and 55 racing. So this is going to be a proper run for him. Justin Lotus up 16 positions. Conor Bergstrom up 19 positions. Sean Lerrero up 13 positions. Jason McGregor up 16. Brandon Kruger up 12. Ruben Heineke up 15, Martin Rotenbach up 18 positions from where he started, Hansi Maiberg up 17 positions, Ramona Jonker up 11 positions from where he started. So a couple of drivers having some major gains. Biggest losses though, and that's still circulating, is for Fears. Unfortunately, the Alpha One Esports having a bit of a collision with fellow drivers Sanjay Pillay early on. And the two Alpha One Esports having a bit of miscommunication about the pit lane. He is down 33 positions as it stands. Not ideal for him. Tyler Humphries, though, he's going to be kicking himself. And if there's a clutch pedal that hasn't been assigned to anything at this point, well, it's taking the most amount of abuse out of them all. Getting a drive-through penalty. This is a driver that was leading our Pro-Ams, and now starting to drop down the order. Going to serve a drive-through at this point, and that is going to cast him down the order and start taking away the fight. So Tyler Humphries, I think he's actually gone into the pit box. No, he is going to keep it going. Was just going close to the pit wall, going and saying, how's it, to Gunther Steiner, our invited guest on the pit wall. And for anyone that doesn't know Gunther Steiner's favorite words, well, go Google it. Can't really say it here, but it's always fun to know. Oh, Darren Miller, drive-through penalty, track limits coming into play for him. The PWSR driver was on a rapid charge. Drive-through penalty coming in, and he's still got one mandatory pit stop to do as well. So essentially 3 pit stops is needed for his race. Drivers starting to feel the pressure in this long 90-minute race. 1 hour and 30 minutes. So, Charles Darden getting ahead of Jason McGregor just as they carve their way through the order. A little bit of flash of a light. Jason McGregor saying, okay, Charles, I'm going to come at you. Brandon Kruger, though, is in the wing mirrors as well, saying, listen, keep focusing ahead. Don't worry about me. Just run out a little bit wide. Make my life a bit easier. Looks up on the inside. He gets him side by side. Jason McGregor trying to fight back. Is it going to be enough? No, the McLaren just having all the legs on him because everyone wants a Macca. Bit of a off-track excursion for Paolo at this point, trying to get out of the way, and that does slow up Charles Darden, who runs into a bit of a fight as Charles Darden's got Brandon Kruger. They are fighting for 14th, 15th, and 16th position at the moment. One of our closest battles there is, and a three-way train for the drivers. So we have got Charles Darden from Project Vapor, Brandon Kruger from KSR Factory, and Jason McGregor from Hybrid Academy going and fighting it out. Aiden actually going and saying one of the potential names was Race Ventura. I like that. I honestly like that. For anyone that doesn't know where the reference comes from, well, go and take a look at the early days of Jim Carrey, the Ace Ventura pet detective. Well, now we've got the Race Ventura track detective, always hunting those apexes, sometimes missing it completely, but always trying to find the checkered flag at the end for the Project Vapor team. And they're fighting it out. Track temperature starting to come down, 23 degrees. Hopefully the guys have taken this into account with their tire temperatures, the tire temperatures and also the PSI in the tires to make sure that they can get running through the order. Slow car though, that is Cameron de Bastos. Wait, what are you doing, Cameron? I actually want to go on board with that one and see what exactly happened to him, because he turned around and then was reversing down the straight. So this is roughly about a minute back. And what on earth happened to you, Cameron? Because that was a bit of a strange one for the number 14. Did you turn yourself around? Maybe 6 seconds left on the replay. I don't think we'll see it right now. Might have just gotten on the gas. This is a yellow flag for our number 11 car. Paolo jumping out of the way of the rest of the field. I don't think it was a jump out the way, actually. I think that he got a little bit of a fright with Charles Darden taking up the apex. There was a bit of side-on contact between the two. And that goes and throws him a little bit down the order. So let's see if we can go back to number 14, Cameron de Bastos, and find out why exactly he was reversing down the straightaway. McLaren tank slapper turns around. He's on the grass, brings it back on the brakes, and not reversing. He's actually just had his foot off the gas and just let it roll back to eventually come to a stop and then get himself turned around. So, and does it again. This time, Smiley Diley, it caught the wall on the way through. Not having the easiest race at the moment for the Panda City driver. And unfortunately for the debut outing for the team in the RaceFace GT3 Championship right here at Donington Park out in the UK for season 17. Not the outing that they're wanting indeed. Bit of side-by-side action. Sean Larrera and Fanheta tried going at one another. Does look like Larrera going past his teammate without too much of a hassle. Fanheta, instead of going to fight out with the teammates, he's going to pull into the pits and try to get that final pit stop out the way. So, we're starting to see drivers getting the times down. Mahiath Musa in 8th position is one to worry about for our pro division. He's in 8th place and has completed all his mandatory pit stops, so he is racing it down to the end. Conor Bergstrom, just ahead of him, is leading out our Pro-Ams, doing a phenomenal job at this point. He is trying to keep up the pace. So Daniel Rowe out in 1st place out in front of the pack with Kieran Patterson in second place of our PWSR. Bernard Barkhuizen in third place, clawing his way back up through the order. Gideon Rayner in fourth. Fifth place, Justin Lotus, Conrad Forsking, along with Conor Bergstrom, Mahayath Musa, Darren Miller, Sean Larera, Chris Heineke, Charles Darden, Brandon Kruger, Jason McGregor. In 14th, 15th is Bego Krobler, followed by Tianis Buerta, Martin Rotenbach, Loic Randabel, Alan Patterson in 19th position, Richard Finieta in 20th. 21st, Isam Domingo, Marius Boertma, Eric Kirstein, Jean Roberta, Jean Leroux, Hansi Meyerberg. The 27th is Richard Finieta, Werner Skuman, Ruin Haneke, along with Tyler Humphreys, Ramona Yonka, Jakob Krobler, along with George Rotenbach, who has now got Jakob Ndia right onto the back of him. Jakob Ndia is not going to back out from this fight. They did swap out positions, and now into turn one, all looking good there. 35th position, Daniel de Villiers. 36 is Philip Van Zel, followed by Jason Farmer, and 50 is in 38th position. Couple of retirements have been happening for our drivers, and it does look like Cameron de Bastos is one of the drivers, unfortunately, just throwing in the towel, saying enough is enough. The McLaren just not working out this evening for him, and this is going to be a monstrous fight down to the wire. So how are the drivers going to figure out to get ahead of one another in this race now with 29 minutes left to go in a monstrous field? Now, that's for anyone that has just joined the stream, welcome. We have had an insane run so far for round number one of the RaceFace GT3 Championship right here at Donington Park. For season 17 of the GT3 Championship. Now, to explain a couple of the things that are on the cards for the championship is we do have our seasons running through. We got 4 seasons in a year that are running. By the end of the 4 seasons, the total accumulated points will go into a championship for getting an MSA honors. So we will have a Pro, the Pro-Am, and an Am championship winner for first, second and third, and that will be recognized by Motorsport South Africa and also the likes of Sascock. So bit of a prize later down the line, but right now for season 17 it is all about the bragging rights to say, well, I'm champion, I'm running into the front of the order, and I will be fighting it out as well. So good to see the drivers pushing themselves that little bit more, knowing that not only the race now they need to score the points, but also with that future insight, the bigger prize coming in of being able to call himself the official MSA RaceFace GT3 champion of their respective classes come for 2024. That is always a monster prize for anyone that's looking to put it on the line. Conrad Forsking, though, getting a drive-through penalty, and talking about putting it on the line, that is for track limits coming into play. He's now got a drive-through penalty that is going to make his 2-stop race into a 3-stop race. And while he was closing down on Justin Lotus, the frustration will kick in, and he is going to serve his pit stop early on, slowing it right down. Our little pit board, Kenny, has survived so far, hasn't been murdered, which is always great to see. It's always the cones on the pit boards that get eliminated. Sometimes the braking markers tend to go missing, especially at Carl Army. The 200 meter braking board into turn 2, always dead. By lap 1, that thing is long since gone, and you're looking at the trees to guess where your braking point is. Martin Rotenbach dealing with Loic Randabel, who goes around on the inside. The Ominous Gaming, it's our Ominous Gaming getting ahead of Martin Rotenbach in the RS1, who put up a pretty clean pass there, not going and putting in too much of a fight. Does look on the inside though, and we'll be keeping a very close eye on our fastest commentator in South Africa for Assetto Corsa Competizione at the moment, and that is Alan Patterson, racing in the Pro-Am class, and as he's trying to close down the distance on Martin Rotenbach ahead. We do have another stream going on, and that is out on Twitch for our Am and Gold division that are fighting it out, so please go and also put a bit of support there for our drivers. Head over to our Discord to get the link on that one, and go support our Am and Gold along with our silver drivers as well. This is Philip Van Zel though, going off on the grass, gets tank slapper, full circle round, and able to stop it into the dirt. The kitty litter doing exactly what it needs to do to slow him down. Back up to the front order, though, as this is still the replay in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the live action racing. Kieran Patterson onto the back of Daniel Rowe. Now, Daniel Rowe has completed his first pit stop. Kieran Patterson's completed his first pit stop, so these two are going to fight it out. And it is now a game of risk. Who's going to pit first? No, both of them are deciding they're going to keep on going. Daniel Rowe is going to defend against Kieran Patterson, both carrying multiple titles behind their names. Daniel Rowe in real-life motorsports. Kieran Patterson in the world of sim racing is a multi-champion right here at RaceFace. So he's looking to keep ahead of Daniel Rowe and get a good footing on the start of the race as he tries to close up. Underbraking, Daniel Rowe just getting a little bit more drive now. They're catching up to one of the back markers. That is one of our McLarens that dropped a wheel off on the dirt. So let's see how that is going to interfere with the race, as these two are running nose to tail. Nothing between it. You can't even fit a Mini Cooper between them in through the corners. I wouldn't even see a bicycle going there without getting that run over and becoming the flattest speedway bicycle in the world. Daniel Rowe keeping tucked up on the inside, does cut over to the outside. So just moving his way around and ensuring that he puts himself ahead of the running. And Banana 52 saying over at Twitch, yes, that is where the AM and Gold is. So just go and take a look. Where can you get the Twitch link? We'll try and bring it up now. I'll have a chat to Tim while we are watching the racing. So Tim is going to keep an eye on the Daniel Rowe and Kieran Patterson. Well, Kieran just goes and puts an end to that. Thanks, Kieran. Appreciate it, buddy. Yeah, getting the run there. And Charles get himself ahead of the order. And Altman Burtma is going and broadcasting out. So I'm going to get our moderators to put it into the chat. There we go. Thank you very much, moderation team, for all the hard work in terms of getting that AM broadcast out there. Over at Twitch, go and give Altman Burtma a bit of love as well, as he is streaming out on Twitch. He's taking a step out of the rig and going and showing off what the live stream is. Oh, tank slapper going on for Kieran Patterson. Now Gideon Rayner right behind. They are behind Issam Domingo by the looks of it. Issam Domingo is going to play a factor for Gideon Rayner and Kieran Patterson. Kieran trying to get past as quick as he can. And he's getting some severe tank slappers. But Gideon Rayner, though, for the police officer, I think he's looking for his next mark. Very, very close, as Kieran Patterson has Issam Domingo swerving out the way to just try and get out of the way of Kieran, and that was a very, very close call. It would have been a tip turn and well into the felt for both of them. Now, thankfully enough, both were wide awake at that situation. So a monstrous fight out there for our drivers. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you're loving the action out on circuit, if you're enjoying it here at RaceFace.Pro for our GT3 Championship Season 17, go and make sure you say, how's it to us. Leave a like, so hit the subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. We're on for the 1,100 subscriber mark. That is our next major milestone, so please do be a part of that massive, massive milestone. We hit 1,000 subscribers last year. Let's see if we can hit 2,000 by the end of this year, right here at RaceFace.Pro. Banana 52 saying the stream, unfortunately, doesn't seem to be live over at Twitch. So there seems to be a bit of a technical difficulty there. It's a bit of an unfortunate one there. And, do apologize for that. We'll try and bring you up to date with what's happening in terms of the AMs and who's finishing where, what, when, how, and the usual story that goes with it of who is into the front running. For our drivers that have been in the race that is no longer racing due to all the sorts of carnage that has gone on, or if they had a few problems, I'd actually like to see if I can get a couple of them to come into the interview room and give a bit of insight into this 44 car starting grid, now dropping down into 37 cars out on the grid. Still a monstrous field, as you see Tyler Humphries and Werner Schumann going to and fro. Tyler Humphries getting a tank slapper, nearly having Heineke going into the door of him. So Heineke nearly going and making a bit of a Ferrari-sized hole into the Porsche as Tyler Humphries gets it all out of place. So definitely not the way he wants to do it. So if there's any driver out there that is part of our Pro and Pro-Am, we'd like to have a chat with you into our media room, out into the broadcast. So just head over to the media room, wait in the interview channel, and we will bring you up to just get a short little snippet of what has happened. I know that Cameron Bastos and a couple of others that have sadly retired their cars will be lurking around. It'll be good to have a chat to them and get a bit of insight of what exactly happened to their race and what on earth went on with the fight there. Brandon Kruger ahead of Charles Darden as we see a battle for 9th and 10th place. They're going and fighting it out. Kieran Patterson now completing all his pit stops for the race. He's lying in 3rd place behind Bernard Barkhuizen in 10th. Yeah, with a bit of time in between them, about 15 seconds that Kieran has to try and close up onto the likes of Bernard Barkhuizen, and then an extra 10 seconds on top of that. So roughly about 25, 26 seconds to get their way up to the top and get back into the fighting order of taking 1st place. So a bit of a climb there. Pit stops do usually take roughly 23 seconds in and out on a splash and dash. So let's see if it's going to be one to keep an eye out for. Tinas Buerta also coming into the pits. He's going to be dropping down the order like a lead rock at the moment. So let's take a look at who is where with 19 minutes left to race. Daniel Rowe out in 1st place. Bernard Barkhuizen in 2nd, followed by Kieran Patterson in 3rd. Gideon Rayner in 4th position. 5th going to Justin Lotus. Mahath Musa in 6th place, along with Darren Miller. Conrad Volskink in 8th. 9th is Brandon Kruger, followed by Charles Darden, who's leading out for our Pro-Ams. He's in the top 10 as it stands. Beggar Krobler in 5th, lying in 11th position. 12th is Jason McGregor. Loic Randabel, 2nd of our Pro-Ams in 13th position, with Alan Patterson trying to close down in 3rd of our Pro-Ams. So he is making some great headway at this point, followed by Chris Heineke, along with Martin Rotsbach, Dylan van Heerden, Issam Domingo. Eric Kirstein chasing him down as well, trying to make up some ground. Jean-Ray Buerta pushing as hard as he can. Marius Boertma chasing him down. So Marius Boertma going and having a great run there, with Conor Bergstrom trying to make up a bit of ground. Hansi Myberg in 23rd. 24th is Jean Leroux, along with Tinas Buerta, Richard van Heerden, Werner Skuman, Tyler Humphries, Sean Herrera, Ruan Heineke, along with Ramoni Jonker in 31st. 32nd is Jakob Krobler, George Rottenbach, Daniel the Hitman de Villiers, Philip Van Zel, Jason Palmer, along with Pafiers at the back end of the field, recovering after that turn 1 incident that went and dropped him way out of the order. Unfortunately, a miscommunication between the team. Paolo Tier saying, unfortunately, my internet crashed, and that is why I'm out of the running here. That is unfortunate. Paolo, look, my heart goes out to you, buddy. It really, really does. Yeah, I know it's no consolation prize on in this one, and I know it's a bit of a heartache situation to bring up. But if you do want to come over and have a few words in the commentary box, just head over to the interview commentary, and we'll drag you up to have a bit of a chat. Paolo was also on a bit of a drive, some rocky starts, but was persevering through all of it. And unfortunately, the internet, pretty much a force majeure coming into play and take him out the race. That is the equivalent of just going and having the engine blow up, the gearbox let go, an invisible squirrel running across the road and ending your race, that type of thing. A hardy dog coming at you, those big, not guinea fowls, I think they are guinea fowls, but I just call them suicidal chickens coming charging at you on the highway that you just happen to make a KFC meal out of. Ruan Heineke in 30th place. Man, I just made myself hungry again. Oh, shouldn't be doing that. Whoopsie. It's not quite what you want to do. And Paolo, any consolation, bud? the interview room is open if you wish to have a bit of a chat. So a couple of drivers unfortunately dropping out of the race due to all types of situations at the moment. Heineke in 30th position though will be serving his drive-through penalty, and not going to be smiling with that one. He's going to be pretty much having bricks in his mouth and not going to be the kindest person on the way through. But unfortunately, rules are rules, track limits are track limits, and you can't go out of them. It will hurt in the long run. So where that all turns out, well, only we will find out. Going to be a proper run for the drivers as they make their way through. Issam Domingo, he is one of our closest battles on circuit with Eric Kirstein as it goes on. Cameron Bastos actually saying that unfortunately he's having a bit of a debrief with the team on just what went on, how did it all go on his car, and we'll give a bit of insight. Maybe from there we will have a bit of an idea of what's going on with his side of things. So take the time, you're more than welcome to take a little bit of a debrief with the team and just get it out. I know that he is also watching frantically with the team at hand and just trying to give them a little bit of support and assistance out there, utilizing all the different from live timing and track maps and everything, just saying, okay guys, keep your head in the game, this is how much time is left. 14 minutes and 17 seconds left of the race as they fight their way through. Chris Heineke though getting yellow flags, he is stopped on the circuit. And what on earth happened to Chris Heineke? So let's see what happened to the Porsche. This goes back roughly about 30 seconds. Still going. And did it snap out underneath him? For the 992 Chris Heineke Porsche. Oh, just over the curb. Gets a tank slapper. Slides around. Turns it around. Brings it back. Tries to get himself off the circuit. And has to wait for the field to come by because he just can't get it forward. Unfortunately, that drops him down the order. Does have Jean-Ray Buerta though, going to go side by side. The Team Kerygma Racing for fighting it out in 20th position, going for 19th. But Chris Heineke saying, no, buddy, that is mine. I'm going to keep it. You're not going to take it. You can get lost quite quickly on this fight. And Chris Heineke going and chasing Eric Kirstein as it stands, as they look to go side by side in the fight all the way through. Time starting to run out. 13 minutes left of the race. A couple of cars still needing to pit. And let's go through the order of who needs to pit. Daniel Rowe still needs to come in the bits, along with Bernard Barkhuizen, Gideon Rayner, Justin Lotus, along with Darren Miller, Conrad Volskink, Brandon Kruger still needing to pit. Charles Darden, Bago Krobler needing to do one more. Jason McGregor, along with Martin Rotenbach. Issam Domingo is in the pits, and he is serving that, so don't worry about him too much. Down into 20th position, that is Boetma. He's still okay. He's done all his pit stops. LaRue needing to do his final pit stop, and Van Heerde down in 26th position, still needing to go and get himself up through the order and do one more pit stop. Each of the drivers trying to fight their way through, figure out what's going to work for them as they battle their way out around the circuit. Daniel Rowe leading the charge though, out in first place, with Bernard Barkhuizen trying to close down the difference between them. But Kieran Patterson now closing that gap from 15 seconds. He's got it down to 12, and will be hoping to close it down even further with the fight as they make their way through. This is going to fight it out, and they will need to do everything they can at the moment. So Lake Randabell dealing with Jason McGregor just ahead of him. Drive through penalty for Brandon Kruger. That is gutting for him. Brandon Kruger with a drive-through penalty for track limits being exceeded. You get 3 warnings. Jim will be in your ears saying first track warning, second track warning, third track warning, and then unfortunately comes with a headmaster with that lovely 60 centimeter ruler that is made out of wood and unfortunately tells you to put your hands firmly on the table, knuckles up, and comes and brings down the ruler with an extreme amount of prejudice. That is pretty much what a drive-through penalty does to you around the circuit, and especially in a race like this. That will drop you down the order, so a couple of drivers really battling with those track limits, and they're very, very easy to do around the circuit because you've got to try and keep it within the yellow lines. You think there is a little bit more runoff than planned, and unfortunately there actually isn't. You go a little bit too far and it chucks you down the order. Jason McGregor will be inheriting position, so he won't be arguing too much as we see the McLaren just trying to scoot his way through. Brandon Kruger going to drop out of the order as McGregor and Randall come past, and does look like Alan Patterson also making that pass right before he came out of the fight. So all the drivers doing everything they need. Chris Heineke and Jean Roberta, they are running in a nose-to-tail configuration there, with Conor Bergstrom also part of the fight, doing everything he can to get into the monstrous battle ahead. Looks up on the inside, second guesses it, not going to go for it. He is going to back out and say, okay, right, need to dial it back here. This is not going to work out. And here is going to be a monstrous fight between them. Brandon Kruger, he's up door to door with Alan Patterson at the moment. Patterson taking the inside line. Is he going to defend? Nope, actually backs off the throttle a little bit. Allows likes of Kruger to get past. He knows that he's not fighting Kruger for class honours. At the moment, Alan Patterson running third in class. Martin Rotenbach, who is behind him, 7 seconds, will be going and trying to make up a bit of ground before he needs to do the pit stop. So Alan is in a podium position spot here. He wants to be on the third step of the podium as we got a couple of the cars pulling into the pits. That was Jason McGregor diving into the pit, so he's going to be getting his pit stop out of the way. Yellow flags being waved for the 404 car and also for the 4111 car from Rotenbach, going and backing off the throttle, allowing the drivers to make their way through. He's not going to get too much into a fight. Eric Kirstein up on the inside of Marius Buerta. This is 20th and 21st. Oh my heavens, Eric Kirstein getting a little bit elbows out there, understeering into the side of Buerta. Oi, oi, oi. That was a little bit elbows out between them. Let's actually take a look from the helmet of Eric Kirstein, because I don't know, that was a little bit of a raw end of the deal for the number 70 car, the Porsche of Marius Buerta, who unfortunately had Kirstein. Oh no, that was just understeer, no, straightening out. Right, that is unfortunate. Not quite what you want to see from Eric Kirstein, actually just straightening out into the competition. So that's something that I think Buerta is going to be taking a look at, and so will our stewards for number 5 car of Eric Kirstein and the number 70 car of Buerta on this lap, number 53 going 54. So we'll have to keep a very close eye on how that's going to turn out. I'm sure there's going to be a bit of talking between everyone. Elf ZA out there in the grandstand saying, unfortunately, no stream for the AM. It looks like the link is down, unfortunately. And Oldman Buerta, unfortunately, having technical difficulties, did put his hand up and say, look, I'll stream. But unfortunately, technical difficulties do happen for our AMs. And, you know, over time, we will look at trying to figure out a way how we can bring all the live action from our AMs and golds with the keeping them going. So a bit of a loss on this one, I won't lie, but we will bring it all back right here at RaceFace.Pro. But I just want to say a big shout out to Mr. Buerta for volunteering, and sorry for the technical difficulties. Been there, we've all been there, we all continue to be in there, but it's good to see that a driver going and volunteering his time to go and put on a bit of a live stream. Unfortunately, the technical comes into play, but did volunteer his time to do it. So, no, props to him. Seriously, props to him. So I'll say just going and unfortunately missing out on that. A couple of drivers going and keeping an eye on that action. Funny, getting a little bit of a flash going and saying, "Oh, sorry, wasn't my plan to lose it in front of you. I hope you don't mind." Hazard lights coming on, and Martin Rodenbach saying, "Oh, no problem, buddy. Don't worry. Keep going. We're going to race this one. We're going to do it properly and fight it out down to the wire." So a couple of cars pulling into the pits and getting their final pit stops. Jean Leroux was the car in shot that is in the pit lane. Daniel Rowe out in front, 7 seconds ahead of Bernard Barkhuizen and Kieran Patterson up into third place. Killian Rayner, 39 seconds behind. He is in fourth place, but Mike Musa is 7.9 seconds behind him. So trying to close down the distance. Justin Lotus is also doing everything he can. We're down into the last 5 minutes and 12 seconds of the race, and this is going to be a mad dash in the pits for our drivers because they have to get these pit stops done and dusted now or never. And for the ones that have done their pit stops, they are hoping, praying, getting a little bit closer, going and wishing and willing these cars to get a bit closer to the line. Luke Randwell onto the back of Darren Miller, the PWSR car, now having to fight it out with Luke Randwell. Ominous Gaming, all switched on. Yes, you for anyone that knows Ominous Gaming, yes, that was a pun. I will take my dad joke and leave. But the PWSR team going and keeping him in check, keeping a very close eye on the run, and hoping to get the run. AOC, that's the monitors I'm using at the moment. Good to see. See, good brands. They work well. Conrad Fulskink doing a great run out on the circuit as well. Chris Heineke now looking to go side by side. He is fighting out with Conor Bergstrom, and they are fighting out for 17th and 18th position. Daniel Fernandez coming into the chat and saying, "How's it?" Daniel Fernandez, one of our international drivers that races on iRacing. Well, competed against him more than once now. Taking a look at our Assetto Corsa Competizione side of things. Welcome to the RaceFace GT3 Pro and Pro-Am class, all combined. Started with 44 cars on the grid, ladies and gentlemen. A monster grid. We have, unfortunately, had a few retirements. We're down to 37 cars, but that is still a monster grid to be fighting it out. And honestly, great to see. Darren Miller up in 8th place. He's fighting against Loic Randall in 9th place, chasing him down. Our timing screen a little bit slow on the uptake on the right-hand side there, so we do apologize for that inconvenience. I know it's a little bit annoying going and seeing the change in it. Charles Darden into the pits. That is going to change things up a little bit. Our timing screen is going to start moving their way up. Justin Lotus, Darren Miller getting a bit of a run. Loic Randall, Brandon Kruger, Alan Patterson, Conrad Folsking, and Charles Darden still waiting to come out. Drive-through penalty again for Tyler Humphries. Tyler having a rough run out there. Werner Skuman also with a drive-through penalty. That is making 2 for 2 2 for likes of Tyler Humphries. And just taking a look, there was a bit of contact, a bit of shoulder rubbing going on between the likes of Bergstrom and Jean-Ray Buerta, who are going side by side with one another. So Jean-Ray Buerta, Chris Heineke now looking to fight it out with one another. Chris Heineke taking the inside line in the Porsche just ahead, but the Team Kerygma Racing going in inspecting the lawn as he tries to rejoin. Tim, the cameraman, getting a bit excited and clicking off the side. So now Eric Hussein getting past. He's saying thank you very much on that run. Tianas Buerta in 21st position, fighting out with Sean Lorero as they go and make a bit of time. Sean Lorero doing everything he can to close down on Tianas Buerta as it stands currently, fighting their way through the order. Ultimately, this is going to be a race and a half for the final 1 minute and 40 minutes. I nearly said 1 hour. And pit stops coming in for Bernard Barkhuizen and Daniel Rowe. That is going to put Kieran Patterson up into first place. And he will be going and trying to open up the gap at this point. He's got his teammate ahead of him and saying, "Listen, buddy, you got to go, and then I got to get past you as fast as possible because Daniel Rowe and Bernard Barkhuizen have just gotten out, and Gideon Rayner just too far away to capitalize on it." And we've also got Stiper jumping into the chat as well, no, into the grandstands. I do apologize, saying chat. Oh man, I feel like XQC whenever I say chat, and it's quite weird. Yeah, I'm not a French Canadian going, yo, chat, I'm going to keep going, chat, it's all going to be about chat. No, not that way. We're talking about the guys out in the grandstands going and supporting. Good to see the LNR boys also going and putting in a bit of support right here. Logistical Nightmare Racing, also one of the communities that is going and fighting on to the world of sim racing and getting a couple of drivers out on a circuit, which is very good to see. So, all in all, guys, 25 seconds to go. 1 hour and 30 minutes of racing of pure GT3 action right here at Donington Park for round 1 of season 17 of the RaceFace.Pro GT3 Championship. And so far, it has been a monumental climb for our drivers. And we have got confirmation from Jim saying that the leader is officially on his final lap. So the leader is on the final lap. Kieran Patterson keeping it all together. Daniel Rowe 12 seconds behind in second place. Bernard Barkhuizen though 2.5 seconds behind him. So Bernard Barkhuizen has an opportunity to catch up to Daniel Rowe. He took an early gamble and now has to try and figure out what can he do to close the distance, or will he be content with the third place spot? Taking a look, another battle forming. 14th and 15th is Chris Heineke and Connor, who went and fought it out. It does look like Connor's starting to open up the gap. 18th and 19th, Jason McGregor keeping ahead of Brandon Kruger as they also look to fight their way around Tiernas Buerta and Sean Loureiro doing everything they can to close down a gap on one another. But Kieran Patterson ultimately is on the charge, getting past all the cars. You can see a couple of cars lifting off, trying to let Kieran through. It is chaos. Oh, contact! Contact at the back. That was one of the Panda City cars. That was Werner Skuman. And, no, that is Rotenbach, who's waiting for our leader. But Skuman going and taking the impact there. Kieran Patterson coming across the line. Daniel Rowe in second place. But was that... Oh, man, that was one heck of an incident. Third place will go to Bernard Barkhuizen as he comes across the line. Cars just try and get themselves going. Fuel running out for our drivers. Gideon Rayner taking fourth place in a phenomenal fashion. Mahayeth Musa going and getting across. But I want to see if I can go back. A quick... this is one of the battles coming down to the wire. Was it an off track? Yep, no, it was off track. It's not quite what we're looking for. It was Werner Skuman. What's your number, Werner? 433. I think I actually have it. The initial contact. Let's go back. So, no, this is not the initial contact. This is a little bit beforehand for Skuman. I don't know what his plan was there. He dropped a wheel off of dirt here. Okay, so that's where he lost that. I want to find where this incident was that led to that monstrous accident, because that was one of the most bizarre crashes that I've seen. Okay, this is after the incident, and whoa, hello. Was there a bit of talking of words between them? In any case, so coming across the line, but ultimately Alan Patterson will be taking the first of our Pro-Ams. Loic Randabel taking second of our Pro-Ams. Third going to Charles Darden of our Pro-Ams. Kieran Patterson taking first of the Pro. Daniel Rowe in second of our Pro, along with Bernard Barkhuizen rounding out our field. Well, I mean that just changed the entire race for our Pro-Ams, and Alan Patterson ultimately taking the win and capitalizing on that. But I mean, what on earth did we just watch, ladies and gentlemen, right here for the championship and for the start of the championship. So well done to Alan Patterson taking it, taking a quick look at the highlights to see if anyone will be jumping into the interview box. Yes, we do. We have our first place, Kieran Patterson. Kieran Patterson, welcome to the commentary box. Once again, you and I are going to be on the microphone together in this week, but this time you had to fight it out in a 44-car grid. And what a fight it was, ultimately taking the win. How are you feeling after that, bud?
A lot cooler, thanks to having the fans tonight to cool us down. But yeah, extremely happy with the result. Not one of my favorite tracks to be said, but yeah, very well done to everyone that finished the race.
Yeah, well, it was a great start and a bit of a chaotic finish right at the end. But let's talk about your race. A bit of a late, well, you went for an earlier pit stop, then the likes of Daniel Rowe and also Bernard Barkhuizen. What was the game plan on that one? Did you just decide rather get it in the box, get it sorted out, or was it just eyeing out when the competition are going to go? Did the fuel light be the ultimate decider of when you were going to get into the box for the final time?
No, the first time the fuel light was definitely the decider there on pulling it in. We obviously came out ahead of Bernard, so figured, cool, he's changed tyres and taken a full tank as well. When we saw Daniel, that came out in front, so the question was either we lost time, or which I wouldn't think we did, or he didn't change tyres. So when eventually we caught up to him, saw that he didn't change the tyres, so that was then the call for the second stop to kind of get out the traffic of sitting behind him, because it's so tough to pass on this track. And yeah, at the end of it paid off.
Oh, absolutely amazing there. And I'm finally getting to do something that I've actually, believe it or not, never done in all my time of commentating. And I'm going to have you and your dad in the commentary box together to interview. So Alan Patterson, welcome to the commentary box, somewhere you're very familiar with, but this time first place for the Pro-Am. Kieran taking first place of the Pro. You were originally in third for the Pro-Am, and then everything just kind of changed and you landed up on the top of the grid. How are you feeling with that? Well, you survived for one, and now you're suddenly taking the win. PWSR both for Pro and Pro-Am. I'm sure that's a bit of a smile moment.
Yeah, it's a big smile moment. Yeah, listen, that was tough. I mean, you know I don't do well with the qualifying stuff, so I was never going to be able to be at the pace in the pro class. So Loic and myself and Martin Rautenbach and a couple other guys were like satisfied to be down in AMS, and then we were just going to see how it goes in the race. And it was close, man. It was tight. There was also a little coming together with myself and Loic coming out the pits, and small contact there, but yeah, then I didn't actually see what happened at the last in the last sector, but I did see him spinning at the donut and another at the hairpin at least. So I snuck up the inside and I was grinning, and there was a bit of shouting going on the radio.
Well, it's all good that you managed to ultimately score the win. It's always a satisfying moment. It's definitely one to go and take a look in the replay of, because well, I'm lost for words, to be honest. But from your side, PWSR now taking the top of the charts for Pro and Pro-Am. That's a great start to the championship for season 17. What's your guys' game plan heading into the next round, which is going to be at Valencia next week?
Yeah, it's not my favorite track, I must say. Yeah, look, Darren had a bummer tonight, so he didn't contribute too much towards the pro points with him and Kieran. Darren and myself kind of did pretty good. Darren got huge pace at the Porsche, but yeah, we'll get our heads down and we'll get on the practice servers and see what we can work out. Daniel and Darren are very clued up with the Porkers. I've reverted back to Old Faithful. I wasn't comfortable enough in the Ferrari, and Kieran could drive a wheelbarrow and be fast. So we're going to just do our best.
Kieran's knocking it for sixes, that's for certain. Excuse the pun. Okay, I can see Kieran going and writing the kick Stephen out for that horrible dad joke right there. All right, well, again, surrounded by the PWSR, and we have got Daniel de Villiers as well. Daniel de Villiers, welcome. Geez, PWSR all in the commentary box with me. I feel a bit surrounded at the moment. Daniel, not the race that you wanted to have, but the race that you got ultimately. Some great racing out there. How are you feeling after a bit of a very tense 1 hour and 30 minute race?
Hi, Kieran. Yeah, hello, Kieran. Stephen.
Kieran's also here, so you can't count him out.
I'm tired. I feels like my fan is not working. Had a little accident at turn 1, but I've never given up, and I finished my race. So, yeah, anything for the extra points and so on.
I love to hear it. Everyone knows my motto is, no matter what happens, just go see that checkered flag. Try get it to the line, no matter what. Even when Alan's busy watching you on the live stream, go and muck it up the whole time. Thanks, Alan. I still remember that. PTSD for certain.
I did mention to park the car and be a race engineer, but Kieran said no, keep going. It's points. So thank you for that. It's still something. It's gonna count.
Good stuff.
Oh, that's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful to hear. Well, guys, before I let you go, they're going to run through the order here. And Daniel, anything you would like to say to the spectators out in the grandstand, and also to the drivers that are out there, also to the guys that are keeping an eye on the action, saying, hey, this actually looks like a bit of fun to go racing. Is there anything from your side? You're allowed to add a bit of spice, but keep it PG, as we've got a couple of kids watching as well, both now and in the future.
Yeah, for everyone, it is the first race, so the skills will get better on the next one. It was a tight track for everyone, but I'm sure the next race it will be much better racing and so on. So yeah, and to you, thank you, Stephen. To Alan, thank you. Kieran, yourself, and to my other teammate Darren as well. Thank you for everything.
All right, and moving on to our first place of the Pro-Am, Alan Patterson. I'm sure you're going and smiling ear to ear every time I say Alan Patterson getting first place. We don't have to add the Pro-Am, but you got first place, buddy. Anything from your side that you'd like to... There's a soundboard, so that exists.
Here we go.
Anything from your side that you would like to say to the crowd out there?
Just a quick one. Well done to the team. The boys did excellent tonight. And especially well done to the Pro and Pro-Am drivers. I'm sure the silver and the other category also probably had a great race, but considering there was almost 50 cars on this track and it was pretty clean, relatively clean from what I did see. There were some incidents, but you're always going to get a little bit of a concertina effect, but in general I thought it was brilliant. So well done to everybody. Hopefully it should be a great season, and thanks to Hansi, RaceFace and Steve yourself for being in the box.
Thank you very much, and it's good to hear getting a compliment from the South African fastest commentator in ACC is quite. I got goosebumps on that one. Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Awesome. You're welcome.
Maybe when I'm racing in the iRacing, you can just say like, "Hey, Stephen, you're doing okay," despite me being laps down. Finally, ending off with first place overall and first place of the Pro, Kieran Patterson looking to try and take another crown for his title reign in the world of sim racing. Kieran, anything from your side? You're allowed to knock it out of the ballpark, knock for sixes, and go for those runs.
Nah, just as usual, a massive thanks to hosts, RaceFace, Stephen yourself for streaming the race, and to all the spectators for showing their support on the stream. Much appreciated, and well done again to all the drivers. See you next week.
Absolutely tremendous stuff. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you at Valencia next week, same time. Really appreciate it to our PWSR for everything. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us here at RaceFace.Pro. Make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the bell notification icon, and hit that like button as well, as it helps out the channel. Our next goal we are launching for is 1,100, heading to 1,200 subscribers. So share the link far and wide, get it excited, because this championship is going through the moon at the moment and is recognized by Motorsport South Africa as well. So come at the end of 2024, we will be crowning a Motorsport South Africa RaceFace GT3 champion. But for season 17, we're looking forward to seeing who will be able to take the crown for the first season of 2024 right here at RaceFace. From myself, Stephen Koenig, the world's fastest back marker, I'd like to say thank you very much. And like always, I'm going to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.